Hey, it's Justin Harvey. Thanks for tuning in to the Anesthesia and Pain Management Success podcast. With APM Success, we take a close look at important topics pertaining to business, practice management, personal finance, and careers for anesthesiologists and pain management physicians. We work hard to take your critical questions straight to the experts. Thanks for listening. Hello, welcome to episode 144 of APM Success. Today's episode is a little unusual in that it is a public service announcement to physicians because there's a very sophisticated phone scam happening right now, costing doctors thousands of dollars. I've seen this happen with 4 physicians that I know personally in Oregon, and it's highly possible that this is happening nationally, using a combination of publicly available information and other data that's probably maybe in the dark web or something. And I wanted to alert listeners to this because it is effective and it is, it's depressing to me. And few things get me more fired up than doctors being taken advantage of while they're busy being doctors. So I wanted to put the word out. Hopefully you can tell your friends about this before they get taken advantage of. So here's what has happened based on the accounts that I've heard. Scammers that are on the phone sounding very trustworthy and reputable are using publicly available information to essentially verify their identity and extract thousands of dollars from doctors. Scammers will call your phone using a spoofed number, meaning it's mapped to another phone number that isn't the actual source. In the cases with which I'm familiar, it's mapped to a local police department. So you look at your phone, the caller ID says Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, for example. The person on the phone will introduce themselves as a detective. This is Detective Stephen Jenkins down at the Sheriff's Department. The conversation is framed very officially. I'm calling on official business. Are you at a place where you have the ability to have a confidential conversation? Do you have a pen and paper handy? I'm going to need you to take down some information. We're going to talk about a problem that we're having with a case involving you. And so all of this framing is a total misdirection. And then there's more data offered to verify and validate. Am I correct that you went to XYZ med school, that you recently completed residency, and that you're a licensed physician in the state of Oregon? Again, some publicly available data and others that are probably coming from a database on the dark web. I've been trying to get a hold of you. You're being held in contempt of court for a case where you were supposed to testify as an expert witness. You haven't shown up. We've sent multiple, notices through the mail, and we haven't received any response. There was a case. Here's the docket number. Can you take down this number? Here was the subpoena number. Can you take down this number? Fines of, $5,000 plus additional penalties of $3,112 are currently accrued to your account. Were you aware of this? And again, it's this very rapid fire, high pressure, official sounding. And again, a lot of this is just totally made up BS, but it's designed to put you on the defensive, to keep you from thinking rationally, and ultimately to take advantage of you. And if you try to hang up or say, oh, I don't know about this, they say, listen, we're not joking around. Google this number, Google my name. And again, they offer this social proof, you can find me on the internet. I'm a real person. But really, they have just scraped this data from the internet, and then they're using it. So again, it's very sophisticated. It's very nefarious. And further, to put more pressure on the physician on the phone, if you don't comply, we're going to notify the medical board. We're coming after your license. We've already had 3 physicians this week who, have had a similar penalty, and they've lost their life. It's they understand the system. They know how valuable it is for a physician to not have, for example, the medical board notified that you're held in contempt of court. And then eventually the conversation will wind its way all the way around to, okay, you owe us this $8,112. We don't have a debit card on file for you. Credit cards are not accepted. You can either, they give you a couple options, all of which are bad, or you can use, cash cards. Do you have any cash cards around? Which would be, a gift card or a preloaded Visa card with a number on it, a credit card number essentially that you can use for purchases. Of course, most people don't have these. So the next option, the next logical step is, well, you better go get some. You better go get $8,000 worth of essentially gift cards and then give us the number in order to bring your account, down to zero so that we don't take your license to be a physician. Very high pressure, very distressing. As I was hearing, friends recount this scheme, it was depressing and really infuriating, to be fully honest. And it's particularly troubling because, again, the phone number, if you Google the number, if you Google the police name, you can find these are real people out there that these scammers have are posing as in order to make this sound legitimate. When I talked to a friend who was going through this and was being called and scammed and who was very close to relinquishing thousands of dollars, but thankfully did not, she actually hung up and called, and really smartly called the police department back. While she was on hold with the police department, she got 22 missed calls from the scammers calling from the same police department number. This is all happening in real time, just hammer phone calls. So it's my hope that if you're hearing this podcast, you can be aware that this thing where you're held in contempt of court, we're coming after your license, we've been trying to get a hold of you, there's fines, you need to send us cash as soon as you can via these gift cards. If that happens to you, and even if there's credible sounding information, if there's a subpoena number and a docket number and the case file that's being described against you, this has been shown to be false. So this is not legal advice, but please take your time as you're processing something official and distressing sounding like this. And whatever you do, don't send cash cards to someone over the phone who sounds official in order to close out fines levied against you because of this contempt of court accusation. So thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Please send it to a friend or just let your physician peers know that this is happening. This is just, again, so distressing. And knowing doctors that have been taken advantage of and have lost thousands of dollars, it's this thing that you feel ashamed and you don't want to talk about, which really just makes it all worse because you don't want to admit that you fell for this, other people are going to continue to be taken advantage of. So please let somebody know. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this public service announcement. Next week, we will be back to our regularly scheduled programming. If you liked what you heard this week, head on over to apmsuccess.com, where you can find more content and free resources to help you build a successful career in anesthesia and pain management. If you wanted to leave a review in iTunes, I'd also really appreciate it. Thanks for using some of your valuable time to join me today on APM Success.